Welcome, my nature lovers. How we all doing today? I hope you all having a fine day. For those of you new to my channel, this is Skelly by Nature. I am Skelly, and here we talk a lot of things pertaining to different things in nature. So this video that we're going to do today is kind of something on the odd end. I'm going to be showing you a plant that if you have in your area, we all know what it is. This lovely invasive plant that we all love to hate is called Japanese knotweed. Now, as a landscaper, many clients ask me, how do you get rid of this stuff? What do you do with it? And I always fool around with people and say, well, it's good to eat because you can. A lot of people don't know this plant is actually edible. It does have different things that you can do with it. But today I'm going to show you something that I enjoy doing with this plant, and that is called pickling. I'm going to show you how to identify what you're looking for and how to get the proper flavor. So the first step is obviously we need to find the plant. Now, if you know of this, you know that this isn't a plant that just comes with a little stalk somewhere. When you find Japanese knotweed, it's usually invasive. It's usually in big groupings. It's, as you can see, it's all around me here. It's all around this shoot that I'm doing right now. It just grows and grows and grows. It spreads and spreads and spreads. It's so hard to kill. Even when you think you've killed it, it comes right back. So I'm going to teach you something on how to enjoy this plant. So the first thing that I'm going to say is, like I said, the first step is to find an area that has Japanese knotweed. If you have it in your area, it's fairly easy to find. You already know where to find it. So what we're looking for is, we're not looking for the mature stalk. As you see, this is a mature stalk. I stand 6 feet tall. This plant grows 10, 12, 15 feet tall. And that's not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is, we're looking for young Japanese knotweed. So as you can see, this is only about 3 feet tall. Any of what I'm looking for is going to be 3 feet tall, possibly smaller. And the other thing that I look for is, knowing that it's not matured yet, is it's still growing. It still has some of the leaves, as you can see, are still starting to sprout out. They haven't quite opened yet, and that's what I'm looking for. And the other thing too is, there's a type of color that we're going to be looking for and a flavor that we're looking for. So once you have found a spot where there's some decent young growth, here's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to go down, and since this is an invasive plant, you're not doing anything, you're not harming anything by cutting it or pulling it out of the ground. If you want to try to help a little bit, pull it out of the ground, you'll see that just popped fairly easy. And so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go through and I'm just going to cut off all of the little stems on the side. Now, the way to test for the flavor is, after a while of doing this, you will actually see the color that you're looking for. I'm going to cut off the little end, because you'll see this is a kind of like a bamboo. It actually isn't bamboo, but it's like bamboo, that it's hollow inside. So where I broke it off, as you can see, it is a solid end. But if I cut off a little bit, you'll see that now it's an open end. You see the water dripping out. It's very watery. So I'm just going to take a little test. So after I took that test, the skin was a little tough, which means it's going to be hard to chew, and that's not what we're looking for. So I'm going to go up to the next level or node. I'm going to cut that off. I can give that a little taste. Now, this is edible, even raw. And the flavor that we're looking for, you'll read a lot of times about this plant, and people will compare it to asparagus, to um, rhubarb. I don't know what rhubarb tastes like. Never had it, but I think my neighbor Paul said it best. It tastes like a granny apple, a nice green granny apple. So that's the flavor we're looking for. Now, I was very close to the flavor here, but it is a little stringy, still a little hard. So I'm gonna go to the next level. I'm gonna clip it. I'm gonna taste it, and I got my flavor. Now, as you can see, it's a light green, kind of almost the same color as a granny apple. Got a little bit of red in it, so that's what I'm looking for. And so I suggest, if you're gonna do this, I got my trusty little basket next to me. I got my stalk here. I'm gonna cut off the tip, and I'm gonna throw it in my basket. I'm gonna take my basket along, and I'm gonna keep going. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill my basket up. And the reason is if you know, I'm only steps away from my house. But if you're somewhere in the woods and you have to travel to find this, make sure you get plenty of it, because when you get home and you start cutting it up, you're gonna find that some of it wasn't as good as you think it is. So always cut more than you need. You're not doing any harm. This is a very invasive plant, so don't worry about ruining it. So let me go ahead. I'm gonna finish and cut up some more. I'm gonna fill up my basket, and I'm gonna see you inside for the next step. Okay, so we're back in the kitchen, and we're gonna get ready to show you how to start doing this pickling. So the first thing, obviously, we're going to need is going to be 2 cups of water. I have 1 cup of balsamic vinegar. If you're not a person who likes your pickles, you know, with a little extra zing, and you want just your standard pickle kind of flavor, then you're going to want to go with, leave the balsamic vinegar out and use 2 cups of apple cider vinegar. So I'm going to be using 1 cup of balsamic vinegar and 1 cup of apple cider vinegar. So the other things that we're going to need is we're going to need 1 tablespoon of salt. I've got 2 tablespoons of sugar. I have roughly 5 cloves of garlic cut up, and I have roughly 6 medium to small hot peppers set and cut and ready to go. I have two canning jars. I've got a couple more off to the side, and then we're gonna need a pot to do our heating up and melting. So the first step that we're going to do is we're going to take our water and we're going to pour it into our pan. We're going to take the balsamic vinegar, pour that into the pan, and then we're going to take our apple cider vinegar. We're putting that in the pan. So then in the pan, we're going to be adding our salt, and we're going to add in our sugar. Now what we're going to do is, what we're going to be doing now is we need to melt that sugar and salt down. So we're going to put our burner on like a medium. We're not looking to burn it, so just go medium. So now while that's getting ready, I'm just going to give that a little stir. That's going to heat up. So now my next step is, like I said, I have my stalks here. These are the stalks that I picked earlier. And like I said, always pick more than you think you may need, because you're going to come back and, you know, sometimes you're going to find different textures So what we're going to do is I'm now going to just take my stalk and I've got a knife. Now when you cut through this, it should be really easy. To show you, I always cut a little piece off. I give it a little taste. If you want, you can spit it out. But that's at the right flavor that I'm looking for. And then at every node where you see there's a line right here, another line right there, but see how it's solid on the inside? We're looking for the hollow part. And see how easy that was to cut through? Now I'm just going to take that, throw it away. And I'm going to cut the next. See how easy that cuts right through? So now my next step is I've got my stalk. I put it in my jar. That fits. That fits. And I'm just going to do the same thing over again. I'm going to cut the very end off on the big end. I'm going to taste it. If it's the flavor and the texture that I like, then I'm going to move on. Cut the node pieces out. But see how easy that really cuts? Like, I'm barely putting any pressure. If you actually have to pressure your knife in, then you're probably dealing with the stalk that's a little too heavy. What you can do is you can peel it. Some people do like to peel the skin off, just to show you, you can just run it down, peels off. And if they can peel off real quick. So I'm going to put in there. So notice how now my stalk is a little big. I'm just going to cut some of it off. And when I cut little small pieces, like I said, I keep 2 jars. One jar for the bigger stalks that I can put in like that. And then one jar that I keep for like smaller pieces. These are pieces that, I'll use for like sandwiches or putting them in a salad or anything else that you might. Sometimes you can even go and relish them. They're pretty good as a relish. So I'm just going to go and do that. So I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to fill up my jars. Okay, so now this has been melted. The sugar and salt has been melted in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this down to a low temperature. And we're going to let this simmer for roughly 2 minutes. And as you can see, I have my pickles or my knotweed in my jar. But make sure when you do, I kind of always go in a circle, and you want to kind of leave a little bit of space, because now what we're going to do is I'm going to take some of the red pepper. I'm going to throw some red pepper in there. I'm going to take some of the garlic. I'm going to throw some garlic in there. Now I have a pickling spice. This you can just buy at your local grocery store. Most likely they have it. If not, you can add whatever other spices you want as your pickling spices. So I'm just going to take a tablespoon, roughly, and I'm going to dump that in. So we're now going to shut this off, and we're going to pull this off to the side. It's been simmering for a few minutes. I'm going to give it a good little stir. We're going to pull this off to the side. Now we need to just let this sit and cool. Okay, so now my vinegar and water mixture should be all set and ready to go. So now we're ready to fill up our cans, our jars, and I like to use a ladle. If you got a pot that has a pouring spout, it's just as easy that way. Okay, and there we go. So now I'm just going to cap them, and what we're going to do is we're going to put these in the fridge, and we're going to let them sit in the fridge for roughly at least 24 hours. and after 24 hours they should be good to eat. And again, I've got some leftover of the water and vinegar, and so I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna probably go cut another batch, fill up a couple more jars, and keep going. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys take the opportunity. I know this sounds a little odd, but I'll tell you, this is really a good payoff for something that is so readily available for most people. And it really is, if you're a person who likes your pickles as much as I do. These are really amazing. You can use them on salads. You can use them all kinds of places. So again, I hope to see you all in the next video. And until then, be beautiful. Be awesome.